Hi, I am Professor Oksana Jackim. I teach English composition and liberal arts courses at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. The purpose of this presentation is to give you better understanding of note-taking, a must-have skill in college. Today, we will discuss why mastering note-taking skills is important for a college student. We will also look at different strategies of note-taking so that you will become more comfortable with those. Hopefully, you will choose a particular strategy or fuse a few so that you can master note-taking skills. When you were in high school, you probably were taking notes in some classes, while in others, you were provided with handouts. Many of your UMass Dartmouth classes will be lectures where you need to take notes as you go along. This video will give you an overview of several simple methods of note-taking. By the end of this video, you will form an idea of which style fits you best so that you can try it out in your next class. And although you might be given handouts and PowerPoint presentation slides during some of your lectures, taking notes is a valuable habit you need to develop for your academic career and life in general. So you're asking yourself, what's the big deal? Why should I be taking notes? I have good memory. I will remember. Consider this. You have different classes throughout the day, throughout the week, and because of that, you have different information to retain, different subjects to learn, different quizzes or exams to prepare for, and different papers to write. That means you need to store a lot of information in your brain and retrieve it when it's time. Unless you're a super powerful computer, keeping everything fresh and remembered is practically impossible. That's why you need to take notes. It will help you refresh your memory and review necessary material for that specific class you worry about. Let's look at this scenario. You are enrolled in 5 courses, and for each of them, you have a separate binder or a notebook where you keep all your notes. Sometimes you will have a multi-subject notebook if that is more convenient. Now, you are heading to your 9 a.m. class, which happens to be sociology. You grab your sociology binder or notebook and go earlier, as you know you have a quiz. You studied for it the night before, too. You use lecture notes mostly, as that's what you will be quizzed on. If you arrive earlier, you have a few minutes to review the material, and you take that quiz stress-free. The result, a good grade. Let's break your success down in terms of note-taking benefits. Keeping a binder or notebook for each separate class keeps you organized. When you take notes during lectures or presentations, you pay attention. You learn to hear and think. When you review your notes, your mind is already committed to the hard work of remembering key points. But now you are doing it without much effort. By writing notes in the first place, you gave your memory a boost. Note-taking also helps you to record what is most important. Reviewing notes helps you when your professor uses both notebook and lecture information for quizzes or tests. And on the day of the class, it gives you a quick and handy reference. In short, it's the key to success. What are the alternatives? Well, you can rely on your memory. But how often do you say, "Oops, I can't remember"? If you forget more than one fact per class, note-taking is for you. You may want to take an easy pass and borrow notes from your peer. Don't do it. Why? Other people have different styles and different organization strategies. You will not be able to use their notes, even though you sat in the same class. The content will sound different and confusing. You may also find that someone else's notes are out of context. How about recording a lecture? First, you need to check with the instructor. Not all lectures can be recorded. Second, if the recording is of poor quality, all you hear is static and noise. Plus, if the lecture is long, would you listen to it all? So taking notes is the answer, and the best way is to do it yourself. All methods of note-taking follow a very simple principle: record, reduce, recite, reflect, and review. First, you start writing the lecture points down. Then at home, you simplify those key words or phrases. As you need to memorize something, you recite the notes, but without looking at them. Here, you come to an opportunity to raise questions or explore your own ideas, depending on the subject matter. And finally, you review the material as necessary. While there are many different methods of note-taking, several are worth mentioning: Cornell, 2-column, outlining, mapping, charting, note cards, and sentence summary. Please keep in mind that there is no right or wrong method. You need to try all and figure out what suits your learning style. For example, mapping or charting methods are great for visual learners, while column methods, such as Cornell or 2-column, appeal to those who want stricter and more linear organization. Regardless of what method you choose, if you take notes, you pay attention, organize information, and allow your brain to be actively involved in the learning process. Let us look at 3 important methods a little closer. They are the Cornell System, outlining, and sentence summary. Other methods you can try to locate on your own. Just Google note-taking. The Cornell System is a fairly effective method. Take a page from a single notepad or a plain piece of paper. Lined paper is probably the best. Divide the page into 2 columns. One is about 2.5 inches wide and another column 6 inches. Take notes during the lecture. Here, I took notes from slides 1 through 7. Write them down in the note-taking column. On this slide, you see introduction, explanation, and so on. Skip lines if necessary. Shortly after the lecture, review your notes and jot down cues, keywords and phrases, and sometimes questions in the cue column. The cue words from this presentation are marked in blue. Write down the summary on the bottom of the page. To review, cover the main column and look at cues. Can you retrieve information from your memory? I bet you can. See, now your memory works much better. Imagine how helpful it could be during that difficult exam you are fretting about. Another method is outlining. This method allows you to compile a list of bulleted points. Indentation shows hierarchy. You start with a main topic, move to a subtopic, then to a specific idea or example. Whether you use a numeric system, alphabetic, or alphanumeric, some of which are shown here, be consistent so that you do not need to decipher your system. There is less writing involved in this method, and the review method remains on the level of scanning. Perhaps better used if you're a fan of outlines and already are a highly skilled note-taker, as outlining requires condensing the lecture to key concepts and ideas. An example in this slide gives you an overall outline for this presentation, with one main topic broken down to subtopics and ideas. Sentence summary is perhaps a method you are most familiar with. Let's take, for example, a piece of information from this lecture. Do you remember the story of being enrolled in 5 courses, having a separate binder, keeping notes, going to a sociology class, studying the night before for a quiz, reviewing notes, and getting a good grade? As you can see, the note after the wording from the lecture on this slide captures several key points from what was said earlier in this presentation. It also abbreviates words and phrases. Sometimes it paraphrases the lecture. While it's not a bad method, deciphering without editing or adding more information at a later stage might be a chore. But in general, taking notes will help your memory stay engaged. Finally, there are some tips that can come in handy regardless of what methods you choose. Although it is tempting to write down everything your professor says, learn to use your own words. Summarizing and paraphrasing skills are a must. Don't forget to date your notes. This will help you organizing your notes later. Keep your writing simple and brief. Develop your own shorthand style. Sometimes professors will repeat information for emphasis, but you do not need to rewrite the same thing all over again. Pay attention to key phrases and change of voice. Often professors add stress to most important points. Learn to recognize each professor's style. Think of memory triggers. For better recall, find some simple associations. A little color would not hurt. Use highlights or different color pens. Whichever style or combination of styles you choose, or even if come up with your own style, be sure that choice meets your individual needs. Most importantly, note-taking should become a habit. Don't wait to be told to note-take. Be in charge of your own education, and it will lead to success. Find what works for you and apply to your college career. Get in the habit of note-taking. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a nice day. Goodbye.